FSU and Florida are a sinking ship. To be honest with you, I can't really argue with that. Malik, right now, I don't know who would win on a neutral field between Florida State and Florida because they both stink. It would probably be the team that just had fewer turnovers and they might win 6-3 or something. They both stink. Let's talk a little more about the quarterback position. Joey says Brock Glenn may not be a better alternative. His performance against Louisville and Georgia don't inspire a lot of confidence. Again, like I've said before, both with Cromahawk and Glenn, it's not a matter of talent. There are two positions on the gridiron where experience is almost always paramount. There are very few exceptions. Caleb Williams, Drake May, the Seth Hennigan guy. He was a freshman that played 3 years ago. But by and large, you need to be at least in your third year removed from high school. I've studied this till I'm blue in the face before you're even mediocre at the quarterback position in a Power 4 conference. Let me give you an example. If you go through the last 15 years, pick a school, go through the stats, use CFP stats if you want. You can go toggle it by year at the top of the page. You can fly through it. Pick any quarterback you wanted that was a starter like 2 years in a row, like 2016 and 17. Again, now I don't care what school. If he was a sophomore in 16, if you look at his numbers as a junior, barring injury or something, it's not just that stats went up. They go up usually exponentially. Third year quarterback is huge. So, Cromahawk's true freshman, that certainly doesn't apply to him. Brock Glenn's a sophomore, but he's barely played. And right now, the receivers aren't winning very much. What do you think he would average per throw against a quality defense? 5? As scary as it is, it might be worse than DJ. Now, if you're saying play Brock Glenn because you're talking about a scenario where you just want him to learn and develop for next year, I could at least buy it a little bit. But here's the problem. Whenever you hear somebody, and it doesn't be Florida State, this could be pro level or anything else. Whenever you hear somebody say, oh, just play the younger players for next year, doesn't work that way. And here's why. The older players will quit. If you think you're getting the same effort out of seniors or last year players, if they think you're preparing for the season after they're there, you are high as a kite. Done. Florida State would tank. Here's the problem. There's no fixing that. That's not a Norvell situation. That is every coach. It's why they don't do it. And what team has a gazillion juniors, seniors, and fifth-year seniors? Florida State. It's a pretty experienced football team. If you put in a sophomore quarterback and they don't think, doesn't matter what the coaches think, doesn't matter what y'all think, doesn't matter what I think, if they don't think he's ready, it would be a disaster. I mean, I don't know, but it's the same thing with Cromahawk. I think that could be a problem. Maybe they think DJ should sit down. Maybe the vast majority, it's possible, but I doubt it. I haven't heard anything from anyone to tell me that Brock is ready. But then again, Florida State thought they were going to be really good this year. Internal chatter was. Obviously, they were wrong about that too. Just saying. Here's an interesting one. Juan Manuel. Brian. Mike Norvell's facial expression Monday night, like he saw a ghost, was going on fourth down on opening drive from your own 45 while only down 8 is telling of desperation and despair. I kind of think the same. Like he knows that they just don't have the personnel to create explosives with the bigger bodied receivers. And to be honest with you, I get that. But at the same time, early in the game, you've got to give some confidence to your defense. Kick the ball deep. They've struggled. But nobody likes being pinned in at their own 10. Mastromano might be the nation's best punter. If you're going to rely on anybody, rely on him. He's pretty good. Just saying. If you don't agree with that, that's fine, but that's my take. Frank, DJ for some reason is not seeing the field. Agreed. Missed open receivers and bad throws. I'm just going to make a real quick comment. I even made fun of DJ. The missed touchdown on the throw to the corner. I mean, there were memes all over X about it. And to be honest, I piled on. For the love of mankind, there's nobody there. Just don't throw it out of the end zone. What are you doing? Like, I've defended him to a certain degree, but that I can't defend. Garbage. Absolute, unequivocal garbage. Horrendous. No excuse. 8th grade throw. And he knows it. When you've got a guy wide open, just give him a chance to fair catch it. There's nobody there to defend the ball. Just don't overthrow. Drove me nuts. That might have been the play of the game, too. The momentum, wow. The fans are even talking about it after it gets bad. Let's see. Most fans still look at players as student athletes. I look at them as employees. Play to win or get out. They got their money. That's from Guy Davis. There's some truth in that. Like, some of these guys got their money and they haven't performed. That's why I brought up the portal and the NIL a little while ago. I know we're talking about DJ right now, but like, that ain't wrong. Guy's not wrong. Why not at least play the backup to relieve DJ like you do a pitcher who didn't have his best stuff? I mean, there's some talk about that. This is my understanding for most coaches, and everybody has their own take on how to do this, but it's about reps at quarterback. If you are not repping all summer and all of fall camp with the ones, it's really hard. And even then, it's not easy. They're not getting the same reps. If you think the chemistry is bad now with the tight ends and receivers, and it's really bad, put in a different quarterback. That is the fear that coaches talk about with me. It's just numbers with the reps. It is what it is. Juan, you bring up a good point, but I guarantee you that's what I would hear if I spoke to a coach right now. Let's see here. Richard Powell, not sure why once the lights went out, in DJ's eyes, we didn't see more of the running game. The guys in that room are talented. The passing by DJ was horrible. That is from Richard Powell. And Richard, you are correct. Why in the world didn't they at least try to run the ball? They had 21 yards on 16 carries, but they were very predictable in reverse. They threw it always on first down. Only had a handful of runs on first down the whole game. Really weird. I don't know the answer to that, Richard, but you bring up a good point. Mike Norvell is getting beat in plain fundamentals. 100%. 100%. Mr. Valentine, no leadership at quarterback. Take the exact same Miami team from last year, swap out TBD for Cam. Miami wins 9-10 games. I would agree. Miami lost a couple close games. Cam's obviously a better passer. That's the truth. If you switch DJ, which they were in on Cam too, with Cam, what would Florida State's record be? Cam's obviously a guy, so he's going to make an NFL roster. I don't know if he'll get drafted high or not. That's a whole nother animal, but my goodness. DJ doesn't fit. Cam's a better fit for Florida State's offense because he's mobile. You can insert a lot of guys like that. Name a quarterback around the country that's fairly experienced, whether they were in the portal or not. Riley Leonard. Like, if he'd have come to Florida State, he went to Notre Dame. He's a mobile guy. He'd have been good. Who else? Any of the quarterbacks that you think of that have been run-pass guys around the country the last few years, been pretty good. Doesn't have to be Jordan Travis's level, but still, you got to have some of that. It's a problem. Midtown, Norvell might need to add a third L to his name after the next game. Midtown, right now, I'm telling you, I'm picking Memphis straight up. Until otherwise proven, until I see something different, I don't think the Noles are going to win that game. Prove me wrong. Let's see. Gulf Coast Seminole. We play DJ and we lose the next game. I'm curious what people think, but I don't necessarily go against that. Okay, Cast 5 Kane. I'm concerned I don't wish injury on anybody, but if Miami stays healthy, that D-line is going to hurt whoever's quarterback for FSU with that O-line. You ain't wrong. Like, the O-line has been in shambles. It's so random. Like 2 or 3 plays in a row, they're great, then they just suck. Daytona guy. Do you think 8-4 may be possible this year? Absolutely not. I don't think Florida State is going to sniff 8-4. Prove me wrong. By the way, that brings up a stat. When Norvell took over in 20, the program was obviously really bad. 21, they started 0-4, but won 5 of their last 8. 2022, they had a 3-game losing streak, but I forget, like 5-6 games in a row to end the season, and then they started 13-0 last year. They've had some funky streaks. When they get hot, they get hot. But when they're down, boy, are they down. It's wild. If somebody wants to explain that to me, go right ahead. Let's see. Kyle Wilson. A program in total shambles. No argument. Let's see here. Joey, if we just focus on the small steps, getting one win, Memphis seems scary. They shouted out their previous opponent. Well, I mean, if you start being afraid of teams like Memphis, and I think Memphis is going to win. That's my opinion. I have no faith in Florida State right now. They just find ways to shoot themselves in the foot. Drop passes, guys going free on blitzes, run blocking is mediocre. They've got guys that are really struggling in a lot of different categories. It's concerning. But at the same time, small steps, like they got to take several major on both sides of the ball. I almost wonder if this is just like first week of spring practice. That's what Florida State looks like. They're just out of sync. It's like the first week of practice. Okay. Ant, I didn't get any of the hype for the O-line being one of the best in the country. I always felt that Jordan Travis made it look better than it was with his ability to make plays out of nothing. Now, that's true. Ant brings up a good point. Florida State, they had a very bad, and I'm being kind here, they had a very bad game against Clemson, got the big strip sack fumble from Deloach and ended up winning that game, kind of smoke and mirrors, but they had 22 yards rushing. Jordan had to run around a little bit more than he probably wanted to, but could DJ have done that? No. Any team that can really apply pressure, he struggles, man. Let's see. Basic fact, Florida State got screwed last year, but this year's team is not good. Blame the quarterback. Their defensive line is a disaster. The portal ads aren't good. ACC is average or below other than Miami. I don't really disagree with anything he said. Daytona guy. If we don't salvage this season, I wonder what this does to our already weak recruiting. We aren't winning at portal, apparently. That's a great point. That is from Daytona guy. And Daytona guy, here's the deal. Recruiting's going pretty well, actually. But I'm worried if they lose the Memphis game, recruiting is going to be off the rails. You'll see guys visiting all over the country. You'll see guys visiting everywhere but Florida State. It will be bad. It will be really bad. It will be embarrassing. It will be to the point where it's like, why would you want to come here? And it'll be to your rivals, Georgia, Florida, Miami, schools like that are going to come out, although Florida's pretty much the same boat. Auburn definitely will. It's concerning. Recruiting is something I'm worried about, but we need to get a little further into this before I know much. Just keep that in mind, though. Good point. Gulf Coast Seminole. Love the chat. Love the content. Would like if you would check out my latest video. I'll check it out, man. Surfer RC. Need to bench every senior and play for next year. The longer we wait, the easier it will be for Bama to ruin next year. Yeah, could be. That Bama game, by the way, for those who don't know, they open with the Alabama Crimson Tide next year. Mr. Valentine, could the Stars be lining up to get Dion back home? Let me be clear. I mentioned this in the chat yesterday. Heck no. Dion is not the guy for Florida State or anywhere that's a big-time program, and here's why. He has health issues. He doesn't even do in-home visits with recruits. Literally. That doesn't work in today's realm. This doesn't work. To recruit at this level, it is about personal relationships and face-to-face and going out and see kids. Not an option. Greg Lee. Those hot streaks are due to the stretches of their schedule where they play the bottom half of the ACC. Same thing happened with Clemson and NC State finishing strong in quotation marks. Well, it's interesting. Please do not do Dion. He is worse than Norvell. That is from Surfer RC. Look, I'm not sure who the next coach would be. Gulf Coast Seminole says the same. We do not want Dion. I have no idea. I wasn't going into this season thinking Norvell was going to be on the hot seat. But if he loses to Memphis, he's on the hot seat, in my opinion, at least a little bit. he finishes the season 6-6 and worse, which I think he will be, he's definitely on the official hot. You can't do that at Florida State. That's year 5 you're doing that. You're regressing. With all the money Florida State's going in on, trying to get out of the ACC with the granted rights, get into the Big Ten, maybe the SEC, whatever it ends up being, yeah, that's not going to fly. Gulf Coast Seminole. Let's play the young guys and have a build-up season. Okay. Maybe that's possible. I'm not sure. But again, like I said earlier, I don't see hold on one second. I'm not sure if that's going to work because I just think the seniors would quit. You can't just play younger guys to play them. You will ruin the locker room. That's just not how it works. I know people don't want to hear that, but players play for themselves first. They pick schools because of coaches in their long-term development to get to this thing called the NFL. You start playing some younger guys who aren't as good, at least in the seniors' eyes, that won't fly. You'll have a revolt. Seth Stein, Memphis FSU is basically a pick'em per FanDuel. That is embarrassing. Thank you for posting that. Let's talk about that for a second. Before this season, does anybody think Florida State wasn't going to be at least a 2-touchdown winner over Memphis? I could see 10 if they had an off day, maybe. But I thought 20 would be about right. Hennigan's good, but I didn't figure their defense could do much, and I believe they lost 4 starters up front. Hennigan's the quarterback, for those who don't know, threw for like 3,800 plus yards last year. Legit. He'll go into the NFL. He'll make a roster. But at the same time, it's still Memphis. They don't have the depth that Florida State does. They don't have the same size Florida State does. And they don't have the same speed that Florida State does, nor the resources, etc. And it's in Doak. For a pick'em by FanDuel right now, shows you how garbage Florida State has played in their first 2 weeks. Garbage. Anybody who disagrees with that? Why? Love to hear your take on that. Drop a comment in the chat. Daytona. Almost $1 million spent on a due to quarterback lawsuit with the ACC. Coach that's not performing with a huge buyout. We are in a nightmare. And there is the chat summary in one long sentence. Well done, Daytona. Tom Roberts. Tom says, when will Alex be on the sidelines? I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. I thought he was supposed to be back for the last game, so I'm giving up on that. I have not heard, but good question. NK, Mike can go 4-7. They're not firing him at least for another year. For another 4 or 5 seasons. There's zero chance that's accurate. He goes 4-7. It's 4-8, by the way, because there's 12 games. He's on the hot seat. His contract is through 2031. If that's the case, if Florida State doesn't have the money to buy it, then the program's in trouble. If what NK is talking about is true, they are in big trouble. 4 wins is not acceptable. So we'll see. Surfer. Seniors are gone either way. Who cares if they revolt? If they revolt now, that means that you have a disaster and your recruiting will fail and the entire place will have people leaking stuff. I'm telling you, it just doesn't work. I'm telling you, that's why teams don't do it. This isn't my information. This is coaches have told me this. It doesn't work. Hawk 1700. For the remainder of the season, each week of practice should be open tryouts. 100. I agree with that. Gulf Coast Seminole. Agreed. Real question is, do we have more than 1 win? SMU ain't even looking bad. I don't know, man. It's not looking good. That's for darn sure. Brown Cap. It's a down year for teams to do the tomahawk chop. Braves are having a down year, and so is Florida State. Well said. He will be back game 4. Okay, we're talking about Atkins. Well, they got another one to go through. I don't know if that's part of the problem, but it ain't playing good. Hawk 1700. What is the buy? I haven't looked up Norvell's contract. I have no idea. It's a public records thing because he's a state of Florida employee. Somebody wants to pull it up on YouTube while they got a sec, fire away. I don't know what the buyout is. How about Gus at UCF? Oh, no. It's Gus's last job's at Orlando. No, that's not going to work. Disagree with DJ Fit being the biggest issue. You just said so yourself. He missed throws my 12-year-old can make. Fit doesn't matter if you can't hit a wide receiver open on a 10-yard pass. Well, I mean, it's both. Like Norvell's offense is mobility based, though. Like some of the throws DJ doesn't hit from the pocket, but like that little short rollout thing, like it was easy throw, and he short hopped it. It's even worse. Let's see, I hope you're right, but I'll believe it when I see it. I know they would at the big schools like Georgia, Ohio State, FSU. Yeah, hasn't behaved like an elite program though. He's talking about the buyout. Yeah, we'll see. This season was a failure once we lost the transfer battles in January. I think he's referring to Cam Ward going to Miami, not Florida State. Brian Price, DJ stats are so padded because we only trust him to throw 4 yards or less. They're not padded. He's completed 56.5%. He can't throw short passes. We are afraid to attempt to say my name. No, I'm not. Jatwan is be my guess. But Surfer RC, why didn't the Fuller adjust and stack the box to stop the run? It's a good question. I can't see the coverages from side to side. I wasn't at the game. I'd rather risk giving up 300 yards in the air with our DBs than give up 250 on the ground. I kind of agree with that. Cody, Brock Glenn studied directly under Travis. Why are we keeping this big lug in down with DJU? I don't know. Was Norvell so confident because he watched our offense bully the defense in training, but our deep was simply overrated? Gulf Coast Seminoles said that. I don't know. To put it mildly, the way they ran the ball or lack thereof in the last game, I wonder if that's not possibly true. Tom Roberts, a fan since 8:59. We've been in the ditch before. Larry Jones, Mudra, Taggart, Norvell hasn't forgotten how to coach, but he's in a head game that he simply has to work out. Willie, FSU should win next 3, then Clemson, Miami, lose, then win out, upset Notre Dame, go 8-4, win a bowl. It's possible. Willie, whatever you're smoking, man, I hope you're getting a good deal because it's good stuff. DJU has to man up and look himself in the mirror. He's getting paid all this money from Florida State. He needs to show up and win. It's on DJ. That's from Kenny. He also states skill players need to improve their play. That's 100%. Joey says, I'm surprised that for a coach that leaned heavily into IP, I think he means RPO, with a semi-mobile QB, Norvell didn't check on the strength of the line. Or maybe they practiced with a weak D-line. I don't know. NK, at this point, I think Norvell is a good head coach, but if things don't change, him being too loyal to underperforming staff will be his downfall. Now, that is a possibility. That is a big possibility. Kenny, we need the defense to make more plays also. 1,000,000%. If you go back and listen to the early part of this pod, I hammered the defense. Even DJ Lundy's not covering well. Supposed to be the leader of the defense. Austin Wilson, FSU needs a refund. Amen to that. Surfer RC, I think a new quarterback could be the spark we need. It doesn't seem like the team sees DJ as a leader. Seth, FSU is not going 6-4 the next 10 games with this team in the remaining schedule. I don't think so either. I think they're going to win 4, and that's it. Hawk, if you pay attention to Norvell body language, he is lacking confidence in his abilities to lead this team for the opponent's game plan. Is anyone impressed with DJ's performance in the last 2 games? I'll speak for everybody. No. Gulf Coast Seminole. RPO is not for the turtle quarterback. Change the offense around DJ or bench it. I don't have a problem with that. How can you evaluate players if the quarterback is running for his life almost every play? Well, Mr. Cat 5 Kane, they've got some problems with that. Even when he's got time, though, he's missed some guys. That's the thing. It's like, it's bad. If he is fired, Norvell gets $63 million. Thanks for looking at that up, Daytona guy. That is a chunk of change. Jim, I don't know where this team goes with this line play. It also seems player leadership needs to step up, hold on, or hold each other accountable. Seth, to finish 8-4, they would have to win 8 out of 10 games. Correct, it's not. Willie, thanks. My wife does have medical marijuana card. Enjoy your show. You're one of the most honest and knowledgeable hosts. Willie, I appreciate that. Chatuan, I think they will win one game, so I need your optimism. Look, man, if they win one game, go 1-11, bro, that ain't cutting it. 1-11 is a fireable offense, in my opinion. Anybody disagrees, fire away, but I'll disagree with you all day. Why no deep shots? We have all this speed, but we never. Look, I don't know on that. He's only thrown a couple of deep shots the whole year. You got me on that. DJ's best came from the flea flicker outside the box. It was a pretty good throw. It was a corner ball. That was a hard throw, and he made it. Austin Wilson, the wide receiver, had a lot of drop passes as well. They've got 8 drops. That stinks. We need a coach that can hit 100%. Frank Biddle, Marvin Jones Jr. looks lost out there. How many times are D-line caught looking at the offensive player running past? Bro, you ain't lying. Hawk, that's Jimbo Fisher get out of town money. Talking about the buyout. It's not ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. Great live from Gulf Coast Seminole. Thank you, sir. Austin Wilson. Also, the amount of rushing yards on both sides of the ball is mind-blowing. You lose in the trenches, you lose, period. Florida State is losing badly. Cubs 0209 saw someone talking about the Portal Bowl. Oof. Oh, the Pop-Tart Bowl. I don't think they can make a bowl. I don't. Florida boy aquatics really like when you have the wide open wide receiver and tight end that can catch. Well, they're not very good at that. Well, I'm going to close up shop here in about 2 minutes, but thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. Please hit that like button, that notification bell, share this podcast, rate and review, and comment. I'm going to drop this pod later on the night and download it. I appreciate everybody coming in. It's been a lot of fun. I'll come up here with a couple more questions before I leave. Does MJJ even make a tackle? He's got 2, I believe. He hasn't done anything. That's not true. He's got 2 tackles. Don't take that away from him. That big game against Notre Dame that DJ had in Clemson was in a loss. I thought he won that game until I checked today. It's hard to win at Notre Dame Stadium. He'll find that out again later this year. They got maybe the best defense in the country. Good luck. How did Norvell build such a flawed team without leaks? Transfer portal fluff. Chatuan, I hate to be unsupported, but I never wanted DJU. I didn't either, bro. Like, I get it, but it is what it is. Randy Shannon needs to go. No linebacker. Yeah, that's Tim. You're not wrong. Jeff and Amy. I'm so glad I drove down from Buffalo last year for my first game at Doak against Miami. What a disaster this year. Yeah, don't come to a game this year. Stay up there. Mr. Valentine, the roulette wheel is transfer portal Norvell. Better come back on black. Let's see. I can't get to all these. You guys are posting fast. Y'all think that Morlock was sending a message by dropping passes? It almost seemed intentional. He looked bad yesterday. That's from Gulf Coast Seminole. Morlock was bad. It ticks me off because I had him as one of the guys I thought was going to play well in the season and that game. Kyle, you let me down, bro. Blue Protege. Get rid of the whole staff of the team at this point. Surfer. Morlock was held twice on 2 of them, though. They don't call many PIs in college. You got to mug somebody. The one in the back, the ends, it looked like he had a 2-inch vertical. He probably got interfered with. Morlock looked like he didn't belong on the field. And there's truth in that. With that, again, I'm going to close up shop. Appreciate you all coming in. I'll be back tomorrow. I am going to download this. Got another pod from earlier today. Going to talk a little more big picture the rest this week. Reminder, the Noles do not play this weekend. We'll talk ACC, do comparisons like where Florida State's at as a program to some of the other teams, and just kind of look at it that way. We need a little more positivity. I have a few things that might talk a little more tradition with the Noles, some of my stories and recruiting and stuff. But thank you again for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. Appreciate you all stopping in. Enjoy the rest of your evening.